Some Namibians are rallying together in an effort to save the Okavango Delta from exploration by Canadian company ReconAfrica. Questions have been raised around the project because of the irregularities that have arisen. ReconAfrica met with concerned groups in the capital recently. Consumer rights activist Rob Parker expressed alarm and expounded on some of the red flags he picked up.
I'm quite outraged about the situation, as I think is probably the adjective I would use. You know, I'm not an environmentalist. I think that on the face of this is a bad deal for the Namibian government and Namibian citizens at the end of the day. And that's why I'm speaking out. My expertise is not in environmentalism or biology or anything like that. I just look at the deal that was signed by this Canadian company, and it made me ask a lot of questions, right? Why are they telling investors that they intend to frack here, right? And it's not just once, it's ongoing and sustained. You know, month after month, for 11 months, this was part of their investor presentation, right? Whereby modern frack stimulations, i.e. fracking, were part of their plan. Indeed, it came out at the seismic meeting mentioned by a former BP geologist that unconventional or fracking was indeed their original target, and conventionals, meaning a well drilled straight down, would be the upside, right? So that BP geologist at the meeting questioned why. You know, you gathered so little data since you said it was an unconventional play, and now you're saying unconventionals are off the table. This seems really odd, right? And they didn't have a good answer for that, right? And then when pressed at the meeting, you know, Claire Priest, who's the spokesperson for Recon, was asked very directly, you know, if the geology shows unconventional is the way forward, will you categorically say here that there will be no fracking? And she wasn't able to do that. She said, oh, you know, 20, 30 years, who knows, I won't be around, right? And truer words were never spoken. She will not be around, right? But they want to get in there and they want to get started, right? Once they find oil, then they're going to go ahead, right? And once they go ahead, there will be no stopping them. Because the government only is a 10% shareholder, which is a remarkable deal. Remarkable. You know, Market Watch and other kind of international publications that, you know, watch junior oil companies and how they're going to do, said that this deal was unheard of, right? And they talk about, you know, how wonderful this is for Recon, how they scooped up the entire basin, you know, for a song, really, right? And the government's a small shareholder. Under the Companies Act, they won't have much rights to stop Recon once Recon gets going, right? If you're not a 25% shareholder, what are you going to do under the Companies Act of Namibia, right? Recon's going to go full steam ahead. It's my belief, it's my opinion, based on everything that I've seen, that they do intend to go after unconventionals, and that this is a storyline for now in order to get the next license and get going, right? I don't believe that they are going to leave unconventionals off the table. They've told us as much at their meeting, that they won't leave unconventionals off the table. And why would they do that for their shareholders, right? They showed their shareholders unconventional. I assume they showed the shareholders that because that's part of the revenue stream. So it's my belief that this company isn't being honest with Namibians. It's my belief that this deal was done in an extraordinary way, right? In secret, without public consultations, in my opinion, because we've seen the community say, you were supposed to consult us, and you haven't. Reporting by investigative journalists on the ground has shown this, and statements by the conservation members and others showed that Recon, in fact, told everybody they consulted, and in fact, they have not, right? The EIA is fatally flawed, and it is hopelessly biased. The assessor is a consultant for Recon who has attacked Namibian scientists, Namibian academics, and environmentalists and accused them of sabotage, told them to buy oil shares because over the next 20, 30 years they're going to go up. That's not an independent person. This is this person who's supposed to be representing the environment, right? And instead they seem to be representing an oil and gas company, right? This is so extraordinary that it was reported in Canada's national paper, the Globe and Mail, where they said, you know, this is what this Canadian consultant is doing, right? Or this Canadian firm's consultant, to be clear. These circumstances, you know, lead one to say there's something more to this deal, and it's in Namibia's best interest to just let's slow everything down and let's just have a look at what's really happening here.
Artist turned eco-warrior Inamari Shikongo also attended a meeting with ReconAfrica in the capital and had a few altercations.
Dr. Sindila threatened me, he insulted me, and it is also illegal to insult people during consultation of an EIA. It is also very illegal. So now you are here calling the police on me, so I'm also going to call the police on Dr. Sindila. Okay, thank you very much. I'm leaving. And Claire and everybody else can be afraid. Thank you very much. I didn't threaten anyone. You threatened me. You have your PR that is asking for information about me on WhatsApp, and she doesn't call me because she feeds with the information. Okay, and then number two, why is it that after she got my number, I got a call from someone intimidating me? That is intimidation during an EIA process. And now you are calling the cops on me, Mr. Lawyer. She said, I will beat you. That is what she said. The one with the orange top, okay? That lady there, she said, I will beat you, but in a very soft voice. So now I am just keeping it on record, and it's also going to my lawyers because she's there and she did respond. So yes, she did say it in a very quiet voice. Before I forget, this video memo. We are environmental activists, we need to stay safe, so we record everything.
As the meeting started, Claire Pierce, who is with ReconAfrica, she started she started off with a very nice welcome, where she was already super defensive and aggressive towards us. And then a geologist in the space asks him to please control her temper and not undermine the level of intelligence of the people in that room, because, you know, and obviously what actually came out of it is that it is a project that really needs to be reviewed because the communities were not consulted, okay? Yes, now they went to Kawe village after we started making noise, and then they went to another village. I'm sorry, I cannot say the name. Some were, I think 3 of the community meetings they were supposed to have now were cancelled, and they already want to start operations without having spoken to the community. They cancelled the community's meeting in Bambi. People waited for 3 hours there, you know? And now they want to start operation already when they haven't even spoken to the communities. And also, obviously, they were saying a lot of things, but one could see that they were lying because they are claiming that the drill site is somewhere in the bush when, in fact, it is on someone's Mahangu field. You know, it is on someone's Mahangu field. They just move the person, you know, and put the Mahangu, the drill on someone's Mahangu field. So according to our Land Act, what does it say? Even if the state, because the state is claiming that they own everything that's below the ground, where does it leave us as humans? Where does it leave our human rights? We do have laws and acts that do protect our indigenous people, our ant people in communal and rural areas. And all of that was sidelined. Why? It is, you cannot have a mine in a communal area. It is completely wrong. And also, one of the things that really worried me in this meeting is when I asked the question if we actually do have a legislation on 2D seismic studies in Namibia. And Dr. Sindila, I mean, you can please look at that at the presentation again. He said, yes, we do. And then I asked, is it onshore or offshore? And he said, no, but it's the same. So now I'm going to ask. I will just first explain the two, like the differences. Onshore, it means it's on land, where you are walking, you know, trees, you know, and then you got offshore, which is the ocean. So now, this environmental commissioner is saying that for onshore and offshore, it is the same. How? I mean, the demographics is completely different. Or maybe he knows how to walk on water. I don't know. Maybe he found the secret of walking on water, which is why he's basing his research on something that is completely different from, you know, the Okavango Delta, for example. And even they're claiming that they are not, that they will not be impacting the Okavango Delta, but they're lying because they're drilling right next to the Matako. And even the drill, the mud drill pit, it is basically that those pits that you dig, where then they start collecting these oils that are now pumping up. But it's not lined. And they said that they would line it. And it's not lined. So that means that when all of this will come up, it will go straight into the ground, into the river system, and because the Matako River is the one that feeds the Okavango Delta, into the Okavango Delta. So I don't understand why they are lying. And here, in this meeting, you could see that a lot of Namibian people were actually concerned. And irregardless whether they are black or white, you know, a Namibian is a Namibian. And this deal is as fishy as anyone can say because communities were ghosted, you know. We are receiving intimidations. I received a letter. Their PR, Ndapewoshali Shapwa, who is actually a journalist as well, she asked for the details of the person that is behind the campaign. And I was expecting this lady's call. I was excited. Oh, a bright woman who's also environmentalist, who's going to interview me. I was so passionate. The person never called, but instead I received a call from someone who was intimidating me. After the meeting, I was so hyped up, obviously, and I just had to tell them to just leave. Which is why I told them, like even Cindy Lamuya, I was like, why are you selling out our country, you know? I confronted them, and I also confronted Claire Pierce, and I told her that we don't want her in Namibia. And also being a child of the liberation struggle and of not just any soldier, but of the Commander Pondo, sorry, you know, it is, I have my ethics. I really believed in my father's sacrifice, and today I feel completely insulted. Why are our leaders selling us out like this?
Let's not forget the Niger Delta. Let's not forget the Niger Delta. Please, that Shell was fined. Just like Shell was fined, we will make sure that ReconAfrica is held responsible for their crimes. We will also take it to The Hague, just like the president of Brazil. Sorry, ReconAfrica would say, we don't want you in Namibia. We don't want you. Leave. Leave.
Rob Parker took his concerns around ReconAfrica's modus operandi to the Canadian Ombudsman for Sustainable Development.
The Ombudsman for Sustainable Development in Canada, you know, they lay out certain rules under the OECD that a Canadian company is supposed to live up to, right? Including some of the things we've talked about already, consultations and, you know, environmental best practices. And clearly the actions of Recon have violated that. Right? And I want to, you know, when you oppose something, you want to go through the process, right? So before I start making a big noise about Canadians doing the wrong thing, I want to give Canadians a chance to fix their problem, to come get their company, come get your people, right? Canada has pledged net zero emissions, right? So that the carbon will balance out in Canada. But how is allowing Canadian companies to go to Africa and export dirty extraction methods? Is that part of the net zero calculation, right? You know, so I believe it's hypocritical for Canada to have all of these great policies at home and then let your companies run wild.
He also raised some concerns about some of the characters that are behind this project.
Nick Steinsberger, in an interview with oilprice.com, was referred to as the father of fracking, right? He has a long record of completing unconventional wells. And he talks about all his shale plays, fracking, right? And all his unconventional work that he's done in the past. And they said, you're the father of fracking, and now you're going to the Okavango for this giant shale play, right? If you read that article, he didn't say, oh, well, I'm done with fracking, right? That's not what he said. He said, we're really excited. This could be the biggest play of the decade. This is the hugest shale play left in the world, right? And we're pumped up because we got this deal on such great terms that it's going to make us richer than Jeff Bezos by the time we're done, right? That's the deal that these guys cut for themselves. It's an amazing deal, unheard of, you know, in the American press. That's Nick Steinsberger. You didn't bring that guy here to not frack, right? You don't bring Michael Jordan and sit him on the bench, right? So let's talk about Jay Park, who's a Canadian lawyer. According to Recon's own presentation, has experience in 17 African countries. Okay, let's talk about two of those. One is Somalia. Jay Park was with a firm that was supposedly, ostensibly, representing the Somali government, determining which companies are going to be able to come in and get access to the concessions. They were paid money by a British firm with ties to the British Conservative Party, and they awarded concessions to that firm. It turns out Mr. Park wasn't even getting paid; he was just working pro bono for the Somali government. These are very unusual deals, right? This is a very unusual deal. This is an extreme conflict of interest at its most generous interpretation, right? And these deals are are investigated by serious fraud offices, etc. Mr. Park was also in Chad, where he was accused essentially of bribing the ambassador's wife, right? $1 million payouts to the wife of the Chadian ambassador. And Mr. Park said that he thought he was paying a long-standing consultant, according to the Globe and Mail story, right? This is a Canadian lawyer with decades of oil experience. One would imagine he's quite a sophisticated operator, and he understands what he's doing. I mean, I don't pay out the ambassador's wife by mistake. Most people know enough better to make the payment to who they're trying to pay, right? And so, you know, I don't know if he's ever been censured or, you know, been held to account, and I'm worried how this EIA in Namibia got done behind closed doors, got done in secret, with the likes of Jay Park involved.
Artist turned eco-warrior Inamari Shikongo is adamant that despite the intimidation she's experienced, she will continue to fight against the sale of our environment for profit.
The Okavango is not just the Okavango. It is the birthplace of modern humans. All humans come from Kavango. Why is it that we have the right to go to Egypt and you know, do research there? We can go to the temples and the Incas, but we can't explore our own heritage as humanity. It is all being taken away. And if I was lying, why would they intimidate me? They even called a so-called police on me. They called the police on me. Apparently, I was harassing them. Who started harassing who here? Who wrote me those letters? Who was there harassing me on the phone? Even on Twitter, you have trolls. Even on Twitter, you have trolls. I'm telling you that they are harassing you constantly. And we all know that nobody works for the oil industry for free. We know. So even you Namibian trolls, my dear, you will also be implicated. I'm telling you. So stop it with me. That is all I'm saying. I'm done with you guys. So because of all of this intimidation, obviously, I am so upset, obviously, and very angry, and I urge the Namibian people, please, to not overlook this. It could really negatively impact us. Even if people are saying, yes, we need development. I will ask you people, when did development save the Namibian people? When? We have so many mines opening up everywhere. We have so many mines that we found before apartheid. And every time when some of us who actually had community projects and we needed funding and we went to the ministries and these organizations and we were like, hey, we need money so we can do this, I was told there's no money. And today you read that fish rot is worth 10 billion. I mean, what? So what is development for Namibia? Is development only feeding corruption? I've said it many times, if anything happens to Ina Maria Shikongo, the pond of Pondo and Angobe, you know where to go, okay? ReconAfrica and their investors, we know who they are. So with that said, you know, I am not afraid. They can send as many trolls as they want. They can send as many police as they want, you know? And unfortunately, coming from my background, I mean, I've never done campaigns of this nature. It is really the first time, and obviously it is really urgent that we really look into this, because this really will impact Namibia. One of the geologists that was talking at this talk even said that because gas and oil exploration needs so much water, it will definitely impact our aquifers. And even Windhoek depends on that water, especially in terms of drought. So what's going to happen to us Namibians? We need to put us first. We need to put our development first, and not the development of a company that has 90% shareholders. What is that? That is a sellout. 90% to 10 NAMCO. How is that possible? And then we have tourism industry, we have agricultural systems, you know, we have people that you know, they have their own employment, you know. People grow food, it's people's homes. All of that is going to be taken away for one company. Our government, please, look into this, you know, because the people are tired. Fish rot is a stigma. And for us who lost parents, we really ask ourselves, why were our parents sacrificed for nothing?